Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new story. I don't know if you've ever had a babysitter before. I know that I definitely have. I don't know if you have, but I don't know about you, but every single time I've had a babysitter, it's gone down pretty normally. But apparently, some of you guys have had some pretty crazy experiences. And this is definitely one of them. No, the title and thumbnail are not clickbait. It actually is pretty crazy. It actually goes like that, and I know you'll enjoy this video. So sit back, relax, subscribe if you're new, grab something to eat. I don't really know, and let's just jump right into this story. We're going to call the subscriber who submitted the story Kevin. So this is a very kind of strange case because Kevin is not the typical kid in the subscriber story, right? Normally it's like the kid is like 11, 12, 13. I know that I stopped having a babysitter after about the age of, I don't know, 13, 14. I might have even had one like before then. I might have stopped him before then, but Kevin was 18. So you might be thinking Kevin must have like insane parents that are super overprotective. Well, I mean, kind of, but also there's a little bit of backstory that's super important. So about a week ago, Kevin got into a little bit of trouble. Basically, his parents said that they were going to be out for the weekend, and a lot of kids in high school, and I'm not saying you should do this, as I've never personally done this, and I suggest that you don't. However, sometimes when kids in high school are told by their parents that, they're not going to be there for the weekend, and don't do anything, that, maybe they're going to disregard the whole don't do anything and throw a massive rager party that destroys the entire house. And Kevin, the subscriber, may or may not have done exactly that. So yeah, about a week ago, Kevin threw a party because his parents were going to be gone. And let's just say that the party guests were not the greatest at cleaning up. And even though Kevin tried his very best by the time Kevin's parents came back, the house was still pretty trashed. And to say the least, they were not happy. However, here's the thing. They were going out again the next weekend. So Kevin was once again going to be home alone. So Kevin is already grounded. His parents are really, really mad. So anyways, Kevin is kind of thinking to himself that oh, all right, well, at least I'll be able to have a bit of freedom this weekend. I'm obviously not going to invite people over again, but maybe I'll be able to go to a friend's house. Maybe I'll at least be able to do something with someone, right? And that's when Kevin's mom tells him hey, Kevin, I just want to let you know we're getting you a babysitter for this weekend. And Kevin looks at his mom and just I don't think I heard you right. And she looks at him and says, no, you heard me right. We're getting you a babysitter because obviously you're not mature enough to be able to handle yourself while we're gone. And Kevin's like, Mom, I'm 18 years old. This is embarrassing. Do you have any trust in me? Which was probably a poor choice of words because he did just literally violate her trust less than a week ago. So she responds understandably, no. And that's why I'm getting you a babysitter. So yeah, Kevin kind of walked right into that one. But anyways, Kevin was kind of upset, but he was also thinking, okay, well, this babysitter can't be much older than me, and maybe they'll be chill, and I don't know. They'll let me do whatever I want as long as I don't say anything, right? And yeah, so the next day comes around because this all happened Thursday night. It's Friday. Kevin's parents are packing up, and the doorbell rings, and Kevin goes to the door with his parents. And, sure enough, there's a girl outside. And Kevin immediately recognizes this girl. We're going to call her Kate, just because Kate is the name of one of my very, very close friends from childhood. And it's also the girl name I use 30% of the time. So we're going to call this girl Kate, right? Anyways, so Kevin immediately recognizes this girl, his babysitter, as Kate. And that's because she goes to his school. I think Kevin is a junior, and 18's a little old to be a junior, but I think he maybe had to repeat or something. He's a junior, and she is a senior. So they're actually about the similar age, right? She's 18, maybe 19 at this point, but she is 1 year ahead of him. So Kevin doesn't know her personally, but he's definitely seen her around, which definitely adds a little bit to the embarrassment factor. Imagine if this, a girl who's older than you that goes to your school has to show up to your house to babysit you when you're literally 18 years old. I don't know about you, but that'd be a little that situation would be a little tough. Leave a like in the video or that will happen to you. No joke. Not a joke, man. Don't take the risk on this one, buddy. Anyways, though, he the girl, Kate, it's pretty clear right away that she kind of has a look of kind of a confused look on her face, because I assume that she's expecting, because she didn't know that it was like going to be Kevin that she was babysitting, but she probably expected some kid who was like 11 or 12 or 13. I think immediately at first she thought that, oh, this must be the older brother, the kid that I'm babysitting. But when Kevin's mom says, oh, and this is Kevin, by the way, you'll be babysitting him for the next couple days, she kind of has this look of like, ma'am, I don't know if you need glasses or contacts or you are just going crazy, but this kid is 18. She obviously doesn't say that, but eventually Kevin's mom kind of realizes this is a kind of a new situation, or not a standard situation, I should at least say. So she goes on to clarify, yeah, like Kevin's a little old and he can definitely fend for himself. However, I do not trust him in the house. So, by the way, you can't let him leave. You can't let him leave for any reason. You can't let him have any friends over. And yeah, that's basically all you have to do. Like, you don't have to make him meals. You don't have to do anything like that. You don't need to make sure he goes to bed at a certain time. You just need to make sure that he stays at this house and that no one comes over to this house. And, Kate was like, okay, like, that sounds fine. And, yeah, eventually Kevin's parents leave, and it is just Kevin and Kate sitting, like, Kevin's kind of, like, standing around for a second, and it is incredibly uncomfortable. Like, it is one of the most uncomfortable situations of Kevin's life. Eventually, Kate decides to break the silence because, I don't know about you, but, I don't know, maybe spending the next 48 hours in pure silence, pure excruciating silence, maybe isn't, the best idea ever. So she definitely says something, and she's kind of like, hey, I know this is kind of like a weird situation. Like, how did this even, I guess she's like, how did this even happen? And Kevin's like, yeah, my parents were out last weekend, but I had some friends over, and they definitely weren't supposed to be here, and they also did not, clean up after themselves well. And Kate's like, ooh, tough. Like, I hate to see that. She said, I've definitely been in the situation where my parents have been gone and I've had some people over, but I've never had my parents learn about it. So, I'm sympathetic here. Look, I don't want to break your mom's trust and, let you have people over, but also I'm not going to be, a hard ass on you because, pretty clearly, we're both high schoolers. We're both basically the same age. It's weird if I, do stuff like that. So I'm going to be pretty chill. So immediately Kevin was like, oh, word, okay, great. He kind of wanted, that for him to be able to go out. He kind of wished that she was like, you can do what you want as long as it's not obvious. I'm not going to say anything. However, Kevin also kind of, respected it because, I don't know, she wants to do her job, but she's also not going to take advantage of the position of power that she's in right now because she could, call up Kevin's mom and get him in a lot of trouble. So, yeah, he was kind of cool with it. Obviously, he wished he could go out a little bit more. But after this, I don't know, things start to get a little bit weird, to say the least. So anyways, about a couple hours go by because it's getting a little bit late. Kevin just, sits at the dinner table and, the babysitter's like, hey, I know I don't need to make you food, but I was thinking personally, maybe I wanted to order pizza and, if you wanted to hop on that order, that's cool and all. And Kevin's like, yeah, that sounds good. So she goes on whatever, some Domino's app or Grubhub or something, puts in the order, and they're just sitting at the, the kitchen counter or whatever. And Kevin's likes to talk with people. He's very social. So he's just it's just me here at the house. I might as well strike up a conversation. There's no downside to me doing so, or at least he thought. So he starts talking to her, and this girl starts talking about herself, not herself. Talks about, she's in this bio class. It's so difficult. College applications suck. She's a senior at this point, and it's fall. So that's when you're in the heat of college applications. I was there once, and it's tough, dude. It's tough. But anyways, right, so this girl is kind of just starts to, brings the conversation a bit of a weird place. For a little bit of context, they were just having very standard talk. They were just talking very normally or whatever, right? And then all of a sudden, she starts to bring up the topic of oh, so do you have any girlfriends at her school? Which doesn't necessarily seem weird, but give me a second. Trust me, it gets there. So Kevin's like, nah, my luck hasn't been so good recently. I'm a bit of a dry spell. I don't know. Sometimes he's like, you know what? These things work out. You can't force them and, they don't have to work out always. And this girl's like, oh, I'm really surprised. You're a really good looking guy and you can definitely hold yourself in a conversation. I'm surprised that the girls at my school or at our school aren't just all over you. And Kevin didn't think anything of this at first. He was kind of oh, word, compliment, nice. He's like, okay, nice, cool. But in retrospect, it was pretty clear that this was she was implying a little bit that maybe, perhaps, maybe, just maybe, that she felt exactly the same way as she was saying. Maybe, I don't know, I don't know. Yes, but anyways, right. So that was kind of the first weird thing. And eventually a pizza came. They continued their conversation, nothing more in that kind of strange category. But yeah, eventually they finished the pizza, and Kevin was about to go upstairs. I don't know, maybe throw on some like Black Ops or something. Just chill for the night because he can't be with his friends. So, just like do something kind of chill and solo. Maybe hop on like call or something with someone. But she says, "Hey, do you want to watch a movie?" And Kevin, in his head, was kind of like, "Didn't you say," like, he doesn't say this, but in his head, he's kind of like, "Didn't you say you weren't gonna like baby me? Like, what do you want to watch? Like, a Pixar movie?" By the way, old school Pixar movies. I watch them to this day. Those are fire. But anyways, it's kind of just like, well, aren't you supposed to just leave me alone? Turns out, I mean, she was, you might understand that sometimes, here's the little life lesson, right? If someone asks you, and not when you're younger, right? If you're 12 or 13, you're watching this doesn't really apply to you. But for the older kids watching these videos, and I know that some of you are, if someone, especially later in high school and especially in college, if someone that, might have interest in you asks you to watch a movie, there is a decent chance, and watch a movie by yourself in their room, just you two. Let me just let you know that there's a little bit of a possibility that they might want a little bit more than that. There's a little chance that you will not just be watching a movie, if you catch my drift. So, yeah, but Kevin was like, all right, word, like, I like movies. He honestly, like, was not even considering it. Because even though this girl was, like, they were of age to, like, potentially like each other, he just saw her, like, he legitimately was still seeing her in the eyes of, like, this is my babysitter. So he's like, yeah, sure, like, whatever. Like, he was even potentially just going to watch a movie himself. So he's like, yeah, I'll watch it with someone. So they pick something, not super important to know what. However, the next is when it gets kind of interesting. Or the rest is when it gets a little bit more interesting. So they're on the couch. And this is a pretty long couch, and the babysitter, she sits on one side, but Kevin immediately sits on the other side because, like, he wants to give her space, right? It's whatever. He's not gonna like crowd up right next to her immediately. And the babysitter, after about 20 minutes, gets up and says, "I'm just gonna get some water." She goes up, gets some water, and when she comes back, she doesn't sit back where she was before. She sits right next to Kevin. And this is like, have you ever seen those like memes where it's like someone, like there's a big, large bench and someone sits right next to someone else? I'm totally forgetting the context of the meme, so I kind of sound like a boomer right now that lives on Facebook and finds memes 10 years later. Like, oh my God, have you seen this Minion meme? This must be new. Yeah, but anyways, I think you guys know what I mean. So immediately Kevin's like, okay, whoa, this is, I should pay attention to this. Like this is definitely like not normal. And, she sits there, and she's like, "I'm so cold." And Kevin's like, "Okay." It was like 72 degrees in the room. It was not cold at all. But I don't know. I don't know about you, but sometimes I've noticed that, like, girls will tend to get a bit colder than guys. I don't know if that's like a biological thing or just I have a weird sample of people I know. But that's just something I've noticed, and Kevin probably has said that he like noticed the same thing. So he didn't think anything of it. He's like, okay, I guess like just because I'm cold doesn't mean that, or just because I'm not cold doesn't mean that the other person isn't not cold. So he goes over and he grabs a blanket. Actually, let's make the secret word of the day blanket. So if you made it this far into the video, comment blanket down below. And while you're down there, leave a like on the video for your very own free blanket. No joke. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's a scam. One way to find out. Anyway, so he goes over, grabs a blanket, and she takes the blanket and doesn't just put it over herself, puts it over her and Kevin. And Kevin's like, He was going to say for a second, like, oh, I'm not cold. Thank you, though. But, he kind of holds his tongue because he's like, you know what? You know what, man? Let's just see where this is going. Let's let this play out, Let's let this play out. So yeah, she's getting like progressively closer and closer to him, right? And he's like, in his head, he's like, nice. And then he remembers, wait a minute, this is my freaking babysitter. Because he's like going back and forth between the mindset of like, this is like some random like high school girl that's like not bad looking, right? And also, this is my babysitter. She has been paid to look after me. Like, it's kind of like switching between the two mindsets. So Kevin's no idea what to do. So the movie eventually ends, and they're both just on the couch like that. And they got the blanket, and they're pretty close to each other. And at this point, Kevin is like, okay, this is getting a little interesting. And the thing is, though, it's pretty late. So anyways, Kevin's like, looks at the time. He's like, hey, I don't know. Maybe we should be going to bed. And she's like, yeah, sure. Like, do you want to show me your room? I did not forget to speak. I just wanted to add a little bit of silence so you could really hear what was just said. Because Kevin definitely heard what she just said. Another piece of advice from college Connor, right? If someone says, do you want to come see my room? And doesn't point to, okay, if this stuff happens in groups, right? Just a big, like, little piece of future advice. If someone asks you to come watch a movie or come see the inside of my room or come sit in my bed, you know, if they say that in like a group setting to a group, well, I mean, that's kind of different. That is definitely a little bit different. But if someone says that to you one-on-one, then like, dude, let me just say that there's probably a little bit of an implication there. That's not always true. You know, sometimes people like trolling you, just completely epically roasting you, just like, you thought, really. But, you know, most of the time, there's some implications there. And also, just in case you want to invite someone back for a movie when you're in college, please realize that if you do not specify that you might have a bit of an unwelcome atmosphere if that's not what you're looking for. Anyways, right? So she says, can I see the inside of your room? And at this point, if this happened, like, I don't know, separately, maybe Kevin wouldn't have, like, realized. But this is right after she basically was in the process of making a move on him. So Kevin's kind of just like, I definitely know that there's some connotations to this. But also, yeah, you know, we'll just go with it. So anyways, right? Kevin's like, yeah, sure. No, I can show you around my room. Like, there's some cool stuff there. I'm sorry I didn't give you a tour of the house earlier. Yeah, so Kevin leads, Kevin the babysitter, they go up the stairs, right? And they're going up there, and they're about to like turn the corner to Kevin's room, and they go over it, they turn around, and Kevin's like, yeah, so this is my room, and kind of points towards it. And at this point, he's like, he doesn't really know what's about to happen. And she's like, oh, do you mind if I look inside? Kevin's like, I don't mind if you look inside. Yeah, so they step in, and it's nothing's like crazy in there. And she's like, tell me about this, and points to like some random thing, right? Points to some absolutely random thing. I don't know, it was like a rock or something. Something that like very clearly didn't have, and was most likely not to have a crazy backstory. And it was pretty clear that she was just saying stuff to say stuff. So while Kevin was explaining the supposed backstory of whatever, like she asked about, he noticed that she kind of like returned back to the door, and that's when he heard it click. Dude, she locked the door. At this point, Kevin was like, all right, well, we know how this is going. However, as soon as she locks the door, they hear a car pull into the driveway. Immediately, the babysitter unlocks the door, walks out of the room, is like, oh, your parents might be home, let's look. And Kevin's like, what? So he goes downstairs, and or they both go downstairs, and Kevin looks out, and sure enough, his parents are walking back in. And they open the door, and they're like, I'm so sorry to cut it short. Like, we drove all the way out to X or whatever, and it turns out that, like, something happened, and we weren't able to stay, or basically, what you need to know is for some reason, whatever they were going to do wasn't going to be a thing anymore. So, yeah, they decided to come back early. They said to the babysitter, Kate, we'll pay you in full for the time that we said that we were going to pay you for. It wasn't, like, a crazy amount anyways, but, yeah, so they paid her in full. They said, we don't really need you to be around here anymore. Enjoy your weekend. Kate kind of looks at Kevin and says, all right, well, our time we spent was nice. And Kevin's like, yeah, it was nice. It was nice. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. So, yeah, she drives away, and Kevin's mom's like, well, how was that, having a babysitter once again, even if it's just for a little bit? And Kevin kind of looks at his mom and is like, Mom, is actually pretty good. It was not that bad at all. I'm not going to lie. If you ever need someone to babysit me again, like if I get in trouble, you should definitely ask her, because she did a pretty good job. And Kevin's mom kind of gives him a look like, what? And he's like, no, you're looking into it too deep. Don't worry about it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's story. Subscribe if you did. And by the way, it is your lucky day, because if you leave a like on this video, not joking, not a joke at all, you will receive 100-pound gold bar. It's definitely not a scam. I mean, one way to find out, like if you leave a like, and it'll take a few lifetimes to get to you, but yeah. And also no, but seriously, guys, thank you so much. The support in the recent videos has just been it's incredible. Thank you. And if you really do want to support the channel even more, today's story is about an extremely psycho babysitter and the crazy stuff she does. Also, it got so bad that, the police ended up getting involved. So, yeah, it got pretty crazy. So, with that being said, grab your popcorn, grab your microphone, grab your, I don't know, your Xbox, your Bitcoin mining machine, and your coffee. And, yeah, let's just jump right into it. Story, we're going to call this guy Nick, right? So, Nick, who sent in the story, he was, he was older, but he wasn't, like, old enough to be left alone at the house without a babysitter. Nick also had a younger brother. We're just going to call him, the brother, right? Nick's brother. It's just easier that way. So Nick and his brother, their parents, or Nick's parents, I'll just say. Nick's parents, they have something to do from like 7 to 1. So obviously they need to hire a babysitter. So anyways, right, the night kind of like rolls around and, Nick and his brother are upstairs and then they hear a doorbell ring and they hear Nick's mom go like to Nick's dad, like, quickly go do this. And then she like says, oh, I'll just go down and say hi. Nick's mom goes downstairs. It's like, oh, how's it going? Thank you so much for coming over. Kind of standard mom stuff like that. Because I don't know. It's always like the same interaction. It's like, oh, I know this is going to be kind of a weird tangent, but I feel like whenever two moms see each other, either they're best friends or they barely know each other or they're like new acquaintances or mortal enemies half the time. They're like, oh my God. And like the dads, even if they're meeting their best friend that they've known for like years and years, are always like, sup, like, yo, or they'll just make eye contact, dude. I don't know, I always just found that kind of funny. But anyways, right, the mom is like greeting the babysitter, thank you so much for coming, here's my number if you need anything, we actually have to like go in like 5 minutes, I'm sorry, I'm gonna run back upstairs and just finish some stuff up. And then the mom, Nick's mom says Nick, and then says Nick's brother's name as well. I just don't feel like making a name up because it'll get too complicated. You guys always call me out when I keep messing up the names, which I always do. But anyways, right, she calls for them to come downstairs. So Nick and his brother, they head downstairs. And honestly, they don't really think anything of it because, dude, it's just a babysitter. They've had plenty of babysitters. However, this one was new. So they had like a babysitter that always came, but, she actually recently just went off to college. And so she obviously couldn't be babysitting them anymore because she went to college in a different state. And she's not about to drive, across country, right? Not about to, like, get into her car, pay for, like, hundreds of dollars worth of gas, drive cross country just to babysit these kids. So they had to get a new babysitter. So they were, like, kind of, like, they were interested, right? They were like, okay, we'll see how this girl is. So when they go downstairs, right, Nick and his brother, they meet the babysitter. She's like, hi, my name is, we're going to call her babysitter. Hi, my name is babysitter. Imagine if your parent, imagine getting basically, here's the thing, getting a terrible name at birth is like getting spawn killed, bro. Like, you have no chance out of the bat. Like, imagine you were named babysitter or like atomic mass or log or Italian roast dark Starbucks coffee. I was just looking at that right in front of me. Stuff's pretty good. But anyways, right, so they go downstairs and they're like, hey, how's it going? And they meet the babysitter. Babysitter seems pretty chill enough. Anyways, right, so, the parents eventually leave and they say, oh, thank you so much for coming. Like, here's my number if you need anything. And we have to go. I'm so sorry. And, they run out. And, yeah, announces the babysitter, Nick, and his brother. And the babysitter's like, hey, guys, like, I'm your babysitter. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. I only have a couple ground rules, like, please just respect whatever rules your parents have. They obviously haven't told me all of them. So, like, don't take advantage of me and say, oh, yeah, my mom lets me eat ice cream, like, all the ice cream in the fridge and stay up till, like, 1 in the morning. That's a classic thing. Like, just don't take advantage of me, guys. Second thing is just, like, if I ask you to do something, please do it. I'm not unreasonable. But if I ask for something, there's a good reason usually. So they're like, yeah, of course. Like, yeah, like, got you. Guy, got you, bro. No, they're like, yeah, it's chill. It's fine. Like, I got you. And so anyways, right, the babysitter makes a dinner. And don't worry, this dinner is normal, unlike the other dinners that past babysitters and story times have done, especially the nasty babysitter. Part 1 and part 2. That was a doozy, bro. That was a struggle to even tell. If you're thinking it's hard to watch those videos, it was hard to tell those videos. Anyways, right, so, it's a very normal night. And after dinner, right, they go up, watch a little bit of TV. And then around, like, 8:30, the babysitter's, all right, guys, like, You don't have to go to bed, but I'd really like if you guys went up, got ready for bed, and we're just chilling in your rooms. And, I'm not going to come in and check to make sure you're asleep, so you can really do what you want, but just be in your beds, just be, behaved or whatever. And that was a little bit strange because, like, their bedtime was 9:30, it was 8:30, so it was like an hour before. And the little brother was about to say something, but Nick was like, kind of looked at him like, no, don't worry about it. Because like the deal actually wasn't too bad for them because they were able to go back to their rooms and they could probably stay up all night, like if they really wanted to. The babysitter said that she wasn't going to care or check. So they're like, okay, sure. However, though, Nick was a little suspicious because that was kind of weird. Like, why would the babysitter tell us to go to bed early, but then also say she doesn't care what we do and we don't actually have to go to bed? Basically, as long as we're out of her hair is what she's trying to say. And then Nick was like, okay, sure. So Nick and the brother go upstairs, they brush their teeth, and they're just like, they're playing some Minecraft together, right? They're just playing Minecraft together, and then they hear a car pull up, and they're like, oh, wow, our parents are back already? Like, why would they buy a babysitter if they're just gone for a couple hours? So Nick's little brother runs up to the window, and he looks out, and he's looking at not the parking lot, but the driveway, and there's a car pulled up into the driveway, and people get out of it, but it's not their parents' car. And those aren't the parents getting out of the car. It's a random guy and two other guys. And at first, like, Nick's little brother's like, oh my God, are we getting robbed? So, Nick is like at first like pretty concerned that, their house is about to be robbed or something, bro. Like they're about to be jumped. No, but like, anyways, so he's about to go downstairs and like inform the babysitter, like, dude, there's people coming in the house. What do we do? And, Nick goes like motions to his little brother, like, stay here, like chill, like stay up here. And anyways, right, so, Nick is about to go down the stairs. He's out of his room, and then he, like, goes to the stairwell, but the stairwell's kind of curved. So instead, right, he's about to go down the stairs. He hears the door open. He's like, oh, my God. He freezes because, like, he's not going to run into a firefight, right? And then he hears the babysitter being like, hey, what's up? And then he immediately realizes, right, like, these aren't some strangers, bro. These are guests. These are guests invited by the babysitter. She knows who these guys are, right? So then, Nick is like, he freezes on the stairs and he kind of just chills there for a second. He's like, okay, so we're not about to get robbed. However, right, the babysitter did invite people over and I'm fairly certain that, my parents would not like be chill with that. He said, but he was thinking, he's like, you know what, however, right, I'm not going to rat on her. Like, Nick was like, dude, there's no point in me, like, calling her out or anything or, like, calling my parents. Like, it just, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. So he goes back up, and Nick's little brother's like, are there robbers in the house? Do I need to hide? Do I need to jump out of the window? Like, oh my God. And Nick's like, dude, don't worry. Like, these guys, like, know the babysitter. She's probably not supposed to be having people over, but, like, whatever. Let's just stay up here. Let's just chill. We'll let them do whatever. Like, it's fine. So anyways, right, they're just playing some Xbox, chilling, having a good time. And the thing is what happened, right, the babysitter invited these people over, and, apparently one was, like, a boyfriend or whatever. I'm not 100% sure how Nick, the subscriber, knew that, but I'm just going to take it at face value. Apparently one was the boyfriend, and two were just, like, mutual friends of all three of them. But what ended up happening, right, was Nick and his little brother were just there, chilling, playing some Minecraft, right, playing some Bed Wars duels or whatever. I don't even care, right, they're just playing some Minecraft, they're chilling, they're having a good time, they're having a good night, man. But anyways, right, they're just chilling, and then they hear a crash, and then they hear two guys yelling, and they're like, oh no, dude. So Nick says, hey, like, chill, like, stay here. And Nick's little brother's like, bro, I want to see you too. He's like, dude, I don't know how safe it is. Like, I'm going to be back in 1 second. I just want to, like, see what's going on. So what Nick does is he goes to the stairs and he kind of, like, slowly creeps down the stairs, right? And he turns and he kind of, like, turns at an angle where he can see what's going on, kind of, but he can't be seen. And what happens, right, is that there's the two guys, right, not the boyfriend of the babysitter who also came over, but the two mutual friends, right? They were in the kitchen. And they were yelling at each other. Like, they were legitimately about to get into a fight. And all of a sudden, right, they start throwing stuff at each other. Like, they legitimately start, like, picking up kitchen appliances, picking up stuff on the counters, picking up, like, those, like, bread roller things. Like, one of those, dude. Like, they just start chucking that stuff at each other. And obviously, the babysitter's like, oh, my God. Like, this cannot be happening. So the babysitter and the boyfriend, they get up from their couch. They get up from their seat. At this point, right, Nick is just, like, on the stairwell. It's like turned around. He's like completely hiding right now, but he's watching the whole thing go down. And like the babysitter and her boyfriend, like they run over, and right before they're able to like actually, fix what's going on, like before they're actually able to break up the fight or something like that, right? One of the guys, when he's throwing something, it's pretty big, it's pretty heavy, and it ends up going through the kitchen window. Yeah, Nick is there and he hears like the glass shatter. And at that point, right, the two guys, they just stop fighting without even being like pulled apart by the girlfriend or the babysitter and her boyfriend, right? Because at this point they're like, okay, we just like broke a ton of stuff and we just broke a window. Like, shoot, like what were we even fighting over? Definitely not worth it. Little bit of a side tangent, but bro, why do people even get into fights? I know you're probably thinking like, dude, what are you even saying? But no, legitimately, think about it. Especially like kids at school, like they'll be like, oh my God, you disrespected my mother when you said, I'm going to bang your mom, LOL. Like, first of all, trolling, who cares? But then they're like, oh my God, I'm going to get into a fight. So they actually like clear out the hallway. There's a big group of people being like, fight. And they go in and they like maybe land a punch. And then they both get expelled like idiots. Like, bro, you played yourself. I don't care if you're defending your honor. You're not defending your honor. You're defending your crown of being a complete idiot, dude. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know. I just went off on that. But it just never made sense to me, dude. But anyways, right. So after they were in this big fight and they broke the window, the babysitter's like, oh my God, like, how do I explain this? So Nick is like, okay, like, shoot, I totally forgot. He runs up, he goes up to his room, and he tells his little brother what happens. He basically like, yo, like these two guys got in a fight. They broke a lot of stuff, and then they also ended up breaking a window. And then Nick's like, dude, just stay here. Like, I don't know, we might want to call our parents, but I just want to go down and like see what's about to happen, right? So Nick eventually, he goes down and, he's still hiding, right? And the babysitter's like, oh my God, what do we do? Because like the other three guys were in there trying to like fix stuff, put stuff back into place. But bro, they legitimately like broke a lot of expensive stuff. Like, in the kitchen, there's a lot of appliances to like do stuff. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? And they like a lot of stuff was kind of like chipped or sharded or broken or cracked or whatever. And like obviously the window, which was like shattered, is like that thing, you can't put that back together. It's not like you're gonna like meticulously glue back every shard of glass into a full-fledged window pane and have no one notice that. No one's gonna be the wiser, bro. They won't notice 100,000 cracks in this pane, and also the fact that it's just gonna break by the wind blowing at it. Like, that was some damage that couldn't be fixed, but they were at least trying to clean it up to kind of like just try and mitigate some of the damage, dude. And that's when Nick heard it. That's when Nick heard the police sirens. Speaking of police sirens, today's secret word is police. So if you made it this far into the video, comment police down below. I will try and heart as many of those as I can, which honestly, I think I'll be able to heart more than I did for yesterday. Yesterday, I was just incredibly busy, so I don't take it personally if you didn't get a heart. I might also try and heart those comments like days later, but I'm gonna heart as many as I can. But still, once again, I can't get to them all. I just want to say thank you guys so much for just giving me watch time. I do love it, and because I'm so grateful and so thankful, I will let you know on a little secret. The secret is that today is your lucky day. Today's your lucky day, baby. Today's your lucky day, because today, if you leave a like on today's video, just simply leaving a like, you will receive nothing. It's going to take about 2 to 3 business days to receive your nothing. But if you want to shave off a day on that order, it will legitimately only take 1 to 2 days if you also turn on notifications to the channel. But yeah, if you want to claim your free like and get it really quickly, leave a like on the video and hit those notices while you're out there. Back to the story. Well, anyways, right, Nick hears the police sirens and then he hears the babysitter go, oh shit, like, oh God, like, oh no, dude, like I'm actually screwed at this point. And the guys are like, bro, we gotta go. And she's like, you guys aren't going anywhere. If we're getting caught, you're explaining what's going on, right? And eventually, right, so you hear the sirens. Nick runs up and he goes to his brother. His brother's like starting to cry a little bit. His younger brother is like 6 or whatever. And Nick's like, dude, don't worry about it. Like, I think the police are just coming to check. I think someone probably called like the police on us because like the disturbance or whatever, and they were just worried. Don't worry about it. Just stay up here. Things will be all good. And so, yeah, so the police pull up and they pull into the driveway. They get out and you hear a big loud knock on the door. And at this point, right, Nick, he goes down the stairs, but he's in the same position as before where he can kind of see and definitely hear what's going on. But he's just like in a position where he can't be found, really. Like he's just hiding out at like they can't find him, right? They can't see him at least. And the police officer comes and says, hey, we got a noise disturbance. And he looks into the kitchen. He because he's like kind of looking around, see what's going on. He sees 3 other guys there and a babysitter, or just this girl at this point doesn't know it's a babysitter, and sees a lot of just destruction in the kitchen. He's like, what went on over here? And she's like, oh, sir, like,
just a little bit of an accident over here. He said, that is a little bit of an accident. I wouldn't call it little, right? And he's like, are you guys the homeowner of this house? And she's like, no, I'm actually just babysitting, right? And he's like, can I have the number of the homeowner? And she's like, I don't have it, which is a lie because she legitimately got the homeowner's number. And at this point, right, Nick decided to actually come out of his hiding. He ran downstairs. He's like, hi, officer. I actually have the number of the homeowner. And the babysitter looks at Nick, not with a face of I hate you, kid, right? Because he's just, she knows he's just doing what he's supposed to be doing, but kind of a look of well, it's nice knowing you. I'm screwed now. Anyways, right, the police officer ends up getting the number of the homeowner, which is, the mom, and, he steps outside, he basically calls to say what's happening, and obviously, Nick's mom was pissed, right? None of that should have happened, right? And also the fact that the police got involved, and, the fact that the police were called because one of the neighbors thought that, they were legitimately in trouble or something, that's embarrassing, plus there's a lot of, broken stuff, and, the police officer explained, dude, there's, a lot of broken stuff in here, just a heads up. And so, yeah, Nick's mom came back with, Nick's dad. They come in. At this point, right, the babysitter's still there, but the other three guys have dipped at this point. And, the police officer's hey, the police officer stays just at the scene of the crime or whatever. And he let the other guys go, but got their contact information just in case, there's actual, case filed or something like that. And the mom gets in there, and the mom has no filter. She's not, I mean, it's kind of, okay, she's, cussing out the babysitter, bro. She's mad. She's chewing her out, bro. She is mad. She's yelling at, you're supposed to babysit my kids. Instead, you bring in these, crazy hooligans that fight with each other and destroy my house. My kids could have gotten in the midst of this. You weren't even paying attention. Yeah, et cetera, right? And the babysitter's, kind of in tears, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't expect this to happen, man. Oh, my God, dude, my actions have consequences? Oh, my God. Don't get it twisted. I've messed up a lot in the past, but I'm kind of a guy who's definitely accept that I'm in the wrong, and if I mess up, it's on me. But bro, there's so many people that are oh my God, dude, why do my actions have consequences? That is my favorite line from The Simpsons, when Homer's oh, why do my actions have consequences? Bro, it's so accurate too. Anyways, right, so the babysitter, she's in pretty big trouble. So what ends up happening, right, is, Nick's mom, Nick's mom and Nick's dad come back, and they basically relieve the babysitter of duty for the night. It's only 11 or something at this point. And basically what happens is Nick's mom contacts the mom of the babysitter because, it was pretty easy to find her on Facebook, whatever. Told her what happened, right? The mom wrote back oh my God, I'm so sorry. She's grounded. I took her keys away, whatever. And also, Nick's dad went around and kind of tallied up how much damage was done. And Nick's mom sent over to the babysitter hey, I don't know how you want to split it up with the three other guys that were over here. I don't know if you just want to make the two guys, who were fighting, pay for it. But here's a $1,500 bill. We were being generous with you guys and rounded down on a lot of stuff. But this is a minimum of the damages it's going to cost for us to fix it. And if you don't want to pay this, we will legitimately take you to court. Not trying to go there. So we're just trying to do this without having to do all the legal stuff, which would be, trust me, much more expensive for both of us. So yeah, the two guys who got into a fight ended up, paying, money to the babysitter who paid money to Nick's mom. And Nick, next time, needed a babysitter, Nick's mom...
A few days ago, my Instagram DMs were blessed with the story of probably the worst babysitter of all time. Strap in, don't strap on, and get ready for one of the craziest stories you'll ever hear. So we're going to call the subscriber who sent in today's story, we're going to call him Sebastian. And anyways, right, Sebastian was 8 years old. So of course, Sebastian's parents didn't really want to leave him at the house alone. And one Friday night, this Friday night that will go down in history, right? One Friday night, his parents, they had an event to go to. And they were going to be out till 2 or 3 in the morning, so they had to find someone to, look over Sebastian and also look over the house when they were gone. So they wanted, I don't know, some Facebook forum of, local people in the area. They found this girl that was willing to babysit, and sure enough, right, the babysitter came, and, the parents introduced themselves, yada, yada, etc., standard procedure, right? And honestly, I'm going to skip ahead to, basically when Sebastian was going to go to bed, because the whole day was normal. There was this babysitter was completely normal. There was no reason for Sebastian to think that she was going to do anything insane, which she did. And you'll hear about that very soon. They had a normal dinner. They watched TV or whatever. And then around 9 at night, she's like, all right, so this is your bedtime. I was told that you should go to bed. And yeah, Sebastian went to bed and he fell asleep. The end, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So Sebastian was asleep and he started to like wake up, right? He was in his bed and he just heard this kind of like music in the background. He just heard a little bit of he's like, dude, why is levels in the what? And he kind of opens up his eyes. He's all groggy. He's trying to figure out what's going on. And he's in his bed, dude. Like, there's no reason for him to be, hearing music, and he was kind of thinking, oh, I'm just dreaming. But at a certain point, he sits up, like he sits straight up, and he's fully awake. He's fully conscious at this point, and he realizes that this faint music, it's coming from downstairs. And he's really confused. So, he gets out of bed, like he puts on like a sweatshirt or something, and he opens his door. And when he opens the door, the sound that was like slightly muffled is like, "Dun-dun-dun, and Sebastian is hearing like all these people talking. He's hearing really loud noise, and he realizes that there's some kind of like party/event happening in his basement when he was asleep, when his parents were away. And he's like, all right, something's kind of weird. So, Sebastian kind of like cautiously kind of like sneaks out of his room. He starts to go down the main stairs, and he's just like, he sees all of these random people that he just does not recognize. They're all like, I don't know, there's like a bunch of people, there's a bunch of cups, there's loud music, there's a bunch of boxes of like half-open pizza. Like, it's a massive party. And he just, he's just completely stunned. And at this point, right, he's just trying to find the babysitter because, she seemed pretty cool. She seemed pretty like, I don't know, chill. And, he's just trying to find the babysitter to like just ask her what's going on, make sure she's aware of what's happening, which, I mean, she is. I mean, you'll see that in a second. But anyways, he's trying to find her. And then eventually, right, Sebastian sees the babysitter. She's talking to like two other guys or whatever. She has like, I don't know, some drink in her hand. Like, she's having a good time or whatever. And then Sebastian and the babysitter, they make eye contact. And Sebastian was kind of expecting the babysitter, when she made eye contact, to be like, oh, Sebastian, like, hey, like, I just want to let you know I had some people over or whatever, right? Or just like, oh, hi, like, how's it going? But no, the look in her face was, at first, it was a look of shock. And then it was a look of not anger, but like, what is this kid doing down here? And the babysitter kind of like power walks up to Sebastian. And Sebastian's like, hey, what's going on? Not even allowed to finish the sentence. The babysitter grabs him by the shirt and like kind of picks him up. And he's so just like, what is going on right now? And she's like, it is past your bedtime. And he's like, why are there so many people here? And she's just like, it is past your bedtime. And she starts literally dragging the kid, bro. Sebastian gets dragged by this babysitter, yanked by the collar, by the gruff of his shirt, bro. And she's just like grabbing him and pulling him. And he's like, stop. Like, what's going on? And she's like, it's past your bedtime. And she brings him up the stairs, and she practically like throws him into his room, shuts the door. And then, I kid you not, because you can't lock the door from the outside, she drags a piece of furniture in front of the door, because the door opens outwards, not inwards, so the door cannot be opened. So he was practically barricaded into his room. At this point, Sebastian's just sitting there, trying to process what just happened. Because within the span of like 2 minutes, he went downstairs, saw a massive party going down, saw his babysitter, got dragged up physically up the stairs, thrown into his room, and got barricaded in by that babysitter that, before he went to bed, seemed pretty chill, like pretty low energy, pretty nice, pretty like just going with the flow or whatever. But nope. No, she was crazy, bro. Sebastian knows at this point that he needs to call his parents because this is getting out of control. Something could be happening. Just like bad things are happening, he needs to call his parents. However, he's not old enough to have a phone, and the designated house phone is not in his room. It's not on the second floor. It is, in fact, on the first floor where the party is going on in the kitchen, which thankfully most of the party was happening in like the dining area, the living room, all the other places besides the kitchen. But people were still going in and out of the kitchen to like refill their refreshments or whatever, get the pizza, because that's where the pizza was. So the first plan of action, right, Sebastian's like, I need to get out of this room. So he goes to the door, starts pushing against it, but he realizes that he's not going to be able to break through this. like the piece of furniture, whatever it was, like this babysitter must be able to like bench 240, bro, because she was able to drag a very, very heavy piece of furniture in front of that door. So at this point, Sebastian was looking around of ways to kind of get out of his room, and because he knew he couldn't get out of the door, and he looks out his window, and he has a pretty big roof, and he realizes that the only way that he can get out of his room is to crawl out of the window onto the roof. So anyways, Sebastian goes to the window, opens up the window, has to do this all quietly because if the babysitter hears a massive thud on the roof, she's going to like go up and check to see if he's still in the room. So he sneaks out onto the roof and he starts crawling on the roof, and there's a little bit of a drop down, and then there's another window. And he drops down to that area, is able to open up the window. I mean, he's really lucky at this point because like honestly, it could have been locked and then he would have just been screwed. The window was unlocked. So he's able to like drop into that room, and the room it happened to be was his parents' room, which was also on the second floor. However, the difference between his parents' room and his room is his parents' room did not have like a 200-pound like massive rock or whatever. It wasn't actually a rock, but it was like a big piece of furniture in front of the door so he could leave it. Anyway, real quick, comment babysitter down below if you want to heart on your comment. That'll be the secret word of the day. I'll heart as many as I possibly can. Anyways, right, so he's in his parents' room, and he's like, all right, I'm out of my room. This will literally do nothing if the babysitter catches me again and brings me up, because she's probably pretty smart and will realize that I didn't escape through the door, and then she'll go through and like lock the window or at least be more aware of it. I don't know, but he's not trying to get caught again. So anyways, he goes down and he sneaks down really quietly. He kind of just like runs in the kitchen, and he knows exactly where the phone is. He runs in, grabs the phone, and then he's met face to face with some random guy. And the guy's like, yo, what's up, little bro? And at this point, Sebastian's like, hi. And he's like, dude, are you supposed to be here? And Sebastian's like, yeah, I'm just going, don't worry. And the guy's like, okay. So with that, right, Sebastian has the phone, runs back upstairs, runs into his parents' room, locks the door, and just dials up his parents. And his mom picks up, and she's like, hello? And Sebastian's like, hi, Mom, it's me. And she's like, Sebastian, like, it's way past your bedtime. Why are you calling me? Is everything okay? And Sebastian's like, well, no. And so Sebastian explains everything, kind of the story I already told you guys. And his mom was kind of speechless for a second. She's like, Sebastian, like, your father and I are like hours away. That's like why we had like the babysitter stay till 2 to 3, because we probably won't be getting back until then. And if we left now, we get back in like an hour and a half. Like, that isn't long enough. And she said, all right, stay in that room. I'm gonna call the cops. I'm gonna tell them everything, and they're gonna come in. Don't worry about them. They know where you are. They might come and knock on the door to check on you, but just stay there, stay put. Don't worry. Help is coming on the way. And yeah, sure enough, Sebastian was just chilling in his room, and he hears a police siren outside, and then he hears a lot of people downstairs, like the kind of like the chatter going from casual like happy laughter to like panicked confusion, as like he starts to hear like all this like everyone's like, oh my god, are the cops outside? Are they gonna come in? And yeah, sure enough, I mean, Sebastian doesn't really see what's happening besides what he can see out of his window, but the cop walks in and he hears like a dispersion, hears everyone go, oh shoot, and then like Sebastian like runs to the back window, looks outside, and sees all these people running out the back and like hopping the fence, trying to like climb things, hiding behind the trees. Like, it's a complete disaster. Anyways, right, fast forward about half an hour, everyone is gone. Downstairs is a disaster, and, the babysitter is also gone. And sure enough, right, he eventually gets a knock on the door, and the police officer's like, hey, this is just like the police. We want to make sure your mom called about this. We want to make sure you're okay. And in there, eventually, like, Sebastian opens up the door, and give it some time. His parents come back, and they're like, oh my God, Sebastian, I'm so sorry you had to go through with that. Is everything okay? And he's like, yeah, no, Mom, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. And so anyways, the mom contacts the babysitter's mom on Facebook, and the babysitter's mom is like, I'm so sorry. Like, just let me know what the damages are. Surprisingly, like, for a crazy party, there was like a stain. There was like some cleaning, but there was really like no actual damages, which is kind of crazy. But, his mom said, no, there's actually no damages, but just like, I'm just letting you know what your daughter did. And apparently, like, the babysitter's mom, like, responded back to Sebastian's mom on Facebook saying, hey, like, she's grounded for the next month. I took away her car. I've taken her phone. Like, that's unacceptable. Thank you so much for letting me know what happened. And once again, I'm so sorry. Click on the video on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it. Do it.